right, guys, here we are, three guys in a ball. This episode, we kicked Tim off to add a new guest for us, Greg. So, Greg, we want to hear your intro for you, a little bit about yourself, what you're doing out there, and how we can help support your mission out there in this imperfect world.
Hey, Jake, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody out there for tuning in. If you hear the wind, I apologize. It's finally windy out here in the desert, so I'm going to enjoy it, rocking the 120-degree weather out in Phoenix. But I own and operate a security operations firm here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's called Signal 88 Security of Northern Phoenix. I also have a training and consulting company called the TS Group, where we specifically go in and we look directly at training different organizational needs as they come forward. A little bit about myself and the background. I used to work for the Department of Homeland Security, Subsector Transportation Security Administration as a badge transportation security officer. I'm a graduate of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia. And overall, man, I enjoy life. I enjoy helping people and pushing life-saving material. It's interesting, today's topic. I'm specifically finishing a master's right now at Grand Canyon University out here in Phoenix with a master's of science and leadership. So I look forward to today's conversation. Once again, thanks to Jake and Paul for bringing me aboard.
Welcome to have you, Greg. And it's really awesome to have you guys, really. And, just that being said, Jake, I know like Tim's not here and he has a tennis racket that he normally hits a tennis ball with, but give me 1 second. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, guys, I got my kids that just knocked over everything. I'll be right back.
So I got today's ball. So just whenever Jake decides to get back.
I was gonna say, if you don't have one, I think my kids have got one over there if we need one.
I got a kids lacrosse stick and a kids lacrosse ball. Okay.
I got a kitty ball right here. Remember this one?
Oh my God. That's when I learned that ball has a very special place in his heart for cats.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
No, but
so
we try to keep it a little fun here.
So Greg, we're glad you're on. I'm glad you could plug a little bit about what you're doing, your company, and your mission. So today's topic for episode 10, it kind of connects back with episode 9, where we talked about the difference of military but also civilian work, and then the equal combination of, no matter what environment it is, toxic leadership, and how it can really impact an organization and the mission, but really hurt the development of anybody on that team at any level. So my question to you to start out is, can you share a little bit of a perspective of teams you've been on, or a team you've been on, where leadership really kind of just destroyed the entire mission and environment?
Absolutely. I was working a checkpoint route over with the Transportation Security Administration, and my direct supervisor was somebody that would take credit for everything. They would put personal agendas before team, and it was just constant, man. So what ended up happening is somebody on the team would find something that somebody's not supposed to have, and instead of giving that individual team member the credit that they deserve for the work that they did, this particular direct supervisor would take direct credit for that. And this individual then subsequently is getting promoted as we move forward. And, this person's getting the next stripe, and then the next stripe. And the person and the people that are actually doing the work that should be getting the credit aren't getting the credit. And it turned into a he said, she said environment. And it never really corrected itself until we had somebody else come in and take over that leadership role that understood what they were doing.
Was that with DHS?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like part of that was, so now you have a business that's private sector, with your own
Correct.
business.
Yeah.
Now with the public sector, which I come from, military, Marine Corps, and then also working government contracting directly for the military as a DoD civilian, like teaching combat skills. Do you feel like part of that comes from, on the government side, it's so hard to manage that kind of environment where there's so much going on, but also too at the same time, it's looked at such a centralized command type of environment.
I mean, we can look at the central command aspect of it, but at the same time, no matter how you slice and dice it, you're looking at the corporate world. For everybody who's outside of the military or government sector, when you talk about central command structure and the follow downs, a lot of them get lost real quickly. So looking at the civilian side of the house on a corporate side, it's really it's you've heard the term dog eat dog world, and it's really unfortunate as you become more and more involved in the corporate sector. And the federal government, we've heard the term, if you want to see inefficiency, go look to see how the federal government's running, right? And I think that is there because you have individuals that fall through the cracks, that learn how to manipulate the system, and then get promoted into positions that they should not have been promoted to in the begin with. Case in point, with this individual getting the next stripe and then the next stripe, all because he's taking credit for somebody else's work. It's a battle of verbiage, unfortunately, in a corporate world.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked in the same kind of environment, chief instructor. And the hard part, a lot of it is insecurities from those people, where they utilize those under them, subordinates, or those that are under their basic command of almost like, yeah, I taught them that type thing too.
Yeah,
that's definitely hard for a team, especially when you got a team of guys and gals that are really putting a lot of work in and working. A lot of those jobs, you're working 50 to 60 hours a week as an instructor, because you got to show up an hour before the student.
Oh yeah.
And you got to stay an hour or two late to clean everything up. And if you got to write after action reviews every night, or after action reports, and all that stuff. So that's good, man. Paul, what you got for Greg?
So I'm really glad you brought that up, and it's really a twofold problem. I believe in an episode or two ago, Tim was saying that, being able to debate a person, or just being able to talk civilly from one person to another, is an actual skill now, right? Whereas, 20, 30 years ago, it was expected.
Right.
Right. That's the first problem. The second problem is that a lot of I can rarely find a person that would disagree with me on this. I don't care where you're at, on your ideological scale, but almost every single person to date can agree that we live in a very selfish world now, not just the United States, worldwide, right? Because we're all, it's the me culture. It's the me. Everything is about me. You got social media that creates this dichotomy that allows everybody to be with me. And, when it's not a real big notion where you start saying, like, bosses like yourself that take credit for everybody else, because he goes, in all honesty, in his view, why would he change, right? He's getting results from how he's doing it. So in his eyes, he's doing it the right way, right? But in reality, what we really need, and this is really interesting, is that we used to be able to learn leadership through sports, right? When the kids go through sports, when they go through different social programs like, Key Club or tennis club or whatever. But in reality, what really is leadership? Right, you have all these leadership books out there, but hardly anybody ever, I don't say hardly anybody, but they don't get read a lot, right? At least not by the people that actually need them.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because one of the is a shameless plug, gentlemen. I got a book coming out here real soon, and I talk about the burden of leadership. Leadership is not something that should be taken lightly. Leadership is a burden. Leadership should feel as though you're taking care of others and supporting others. And Paul, I'm really glad you asked, what is leadership? Because, as I go through my master's program here at Grand Canyon, that question gets asked a lot. What is leadership? And there's literally hundreds of different definitions of leadership. And it really kind of boils down to somebody who can motivate others as well as supporting others. And I think, David Goggins, when he was talking, back to your point earlier, David Goggins, when he was talking about one of the main issues in the United States, I think he was talking about race in America and the issues that is currently happening is we no longer have an open line of communication. We no longer have an open dialogue. In other words, we can't sit down and two individuals have communication in a constructive manner. Paul, you could be on the left side and be talking about a rock, and I could be on the right side, and the Jake can be directly in the middle. And at the end of the day, we all walk away learning something about the other side. Your rock, the middle, and my side, right? That line of communication has fallen, has broken down. And Jake and Paul, both of you guys understand what happens in the military when communication fails, right? So it's the same thing out here. Exactly. That's exactly right.
So, and just to kind of add to the definition of leadership, I've always kind of, and you're right, it's 100 different definitions, but they all rhyme, right? My version of leadership has always been is a definition of not only taking care of them, but getting people to do things they don't want to do, willfully doing things they don't want to do.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And here's the thing. So I'll give you a personal example. So in 2008 and 2009, I think it's, I could be wrong on the timeline, but if your deployment in the Army is longer than a year, they give you 2 weeks off, or the option of taking 2 weeks off to fly back home and, have some time with their family before you have to go back and all that other good stuff. But, we flew back home, but some people, even though they had that option, they didn't go back home because they felt like if they went back home, they wouldn't be there to support their guys. Right. Military leadership is one of those things that if it's good leadership, it's great.
Correct.
That's how the camaraderie happens. And I've actually seen a perfect example of a bad leader, really bad leader, turning into a good leader because of the military. Before we got deployed, he was, I'm not going to say his name, but standard procedure of, you do what I say because I'm an E5 and I have stripes. And, if I tell you to jump, you say how high, right? And the whole typical NCO bull crap that goes on from a bad leader to after when we got into our first engagement, his whole mindset just switched because one of his own guys helped him out of a tight situation. And from that point on, he understood, and he actually became one of our best NCOs that we had coming back. So sometimes it takes a life-altering lesson to actually let you understand what leadership is. Basically, what ended up happening was he was looking down on people, and then after the said incident happened, he came out of it with a new look and a new leash on life. And he's actually, he ended up staying as a lifer, and he ended up attributing that to his huge success, right? Of what is a bad leader and what is a good leader. And I think Jake, on our last episode, we we had a minor revolt in 2003 when we got deployed because we were told to get a major's dry cleaning from the worst part of Baghdad, and we're like, yeah, we're not going.
Yes. Hey, so Paul, to add to your little message about that NCO, another thing that really matters with leadership is like the saying where exposure, so repetitions, reps, getting your reps, exposure creates composure, where that's why it's so important. This could be a whole nother episode about how do we find the best candidates to work for our organizations and our teams, because you can have a lot of experience working one place for your whole career and then you try to shift jobs. But for me, I think having people that have a lot of different types of experiences from different environments are some of the best out there because they have different perspectives and they're not one dimensional. So for that guy though, he shifted probably because he had that composure or that exposure moment. And he was able to say, you know what, maybe I need to shift the battlefield here in my perspective with how I support and lead this team. Because like the saying I always say, leaders lead people and develop others. Managers manage the mission, not people, and not everybody is a leader. A lot of people would say that everybody has leadership. It's just, is it good or is it bad? But I really think that some people really don't know how to my definition of leadership is support and development of others, as in people. And the thing with leadership as well is having initiative and understanding that we are going to make mistakes, but to be able to progress as a team, we have to make action. And that's where leaders really stick out, is through action and then learning from their mistakes and not benefiting from the good times, but really learning from the bad times.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you said, just because you're a CEO or president of a company doesn't mean you're a good leader. I've met plenty of CEOs and presidents and head of companies that are horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible, brilliant, but horrible.
And now, Paul, would you say that about that NCO? Like at one point, he would have been, in your definition, a horrible leader, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that's the thing. The other thing too is just because where we're at, like that's what leadership's all about, is like growth. The growth opportunity is always there, no matter where we're at in the present.
Exactly. And, so that kind of, kind of sums it up a little bit. So I want you guys to, to our audience, what do you guys think, right? What do you think toxic leadership is, right? You can let us know in your comments. And Jake, I'm going to say it, like, comment, and subscribe. So
just like those little kitty videos you see.
Yeah.
Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is three guys in a ball.
Hey, let's let Greg. Greg, you got any last words? Because you're our guest. We want to make sure you get.
You guys absolutely hit the nail on the head. For everyone out there, I was a last minute add-on, and the best part about this is it doesn't matter what you're doing throughout your life, and Jake said it best, man. Repetition leads to great exposure, right? And what was the exact verbiage you used?
Yeah, we got to put the reps in. It's the repetition, exposure.
That's what it is.
Creates composure.
I like that. And leading by example, right? Leading by example versus leading by authoritative views. Look, man, we're all the same. We all come from same places. We may have different walks of life, but we all start off somewhere exactly the same. And we're all common people, and to be working together and learning from those good leaders and bad leaders. Look, we have to have bad leaders so that we can learn what not to do, and we learn from those bad leaders. I know I've learned from my bad leaders, and I try to take that and I try to live those values out to the very best of my ability. And I thank you guys for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Appreciate you, buddy.
Awesome. So three guys in the ball. We out.